Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're completely rethinking the endless daily grind. Look, we've all been sold this idea, right? That if you want to get better at something, you just have to chip away at it day after day after day. But what if doing a little bit every day is actually the exact reason you're stuck? Today, we're diving into how your brain actually masters new skills, and spoiler alert, it is not through a slow, endless grind.
Okay, let's kick things off by smashing a massive myth. We've all seen the motivational posters everywhere, but consistency, at least the way we usually think about it, is actually a trap. Grinding away every single day isn't always the best path to growth. In fact, if you've been putting in the daily work and feel like you've hit a huge plateau, you aren't broken. You've just been working against your own biology.
When you stack up the mundane checkmarks of a slow daily grind against the strategic cycles of history's greatest minds, and then pair that with modern neuroscience, a totally different picture emerges. Real, undeniable growth? It happens in sudden bursts, not in perfectly straight, consistent lines.
Well, let's look at the evidence. High performers like Michael Jordan, Albert Einstein, and Beethoven, they didn't improve through casual 20 minutes a day practice. No way. They relied on extremes. Michael Jordan trained in short, brutal blocks of ultra-high intensity. Einstein didn't just work an even, standard week. He'd obsessed over a single problem for days and then do absolutely nothing but take long walks for hours. Beethoven would lock into extreme technical focus and then stop entirely to let the music just settle in his mind. It was extreme focus followed by complete disengagement.
Section 1. The psychological secret: maintenance versus transformation.
To really grasp why your consistent daily routine might be failing you right now, we have to understand this core difference. Routines build the floor. Sprints build the ceiling. Routines are absolutely fantastic for keeping you from falling backward. They maintain your baseline. But if all you have is a routine, you are merely maintaining. If you want to raise your ceiling and truly transform your capabilities, you can't do it with a comfortable routine. You desperately need the intensity of a sprint.
And this isn't just historical anecdote. It is heavily backed by science. As Anders Ericsson points out in his incredible book, Peak, simply putting in casual effort isn't enough to trigger adaptation. Your brain fundamentally demands intense, deliberate practice. But here's the kicker: the vital half of the equation that everyone forgets. That intense practice has to be paired with vital, uncompromising recovery time.
Here's what's actually happening under the hood. When you focus intensely, when you really push your cognitive limits, you trigger a biological state called temporary neural instability. Think of it as shaking up the foundation. This instability is the exact signal your brain needs to realize, hey, our current wiring just isn't strong enough to handle this pressure. We have to adapt and upgrade.
So, the absolutely crucial point is this: growth doesn't actually happen during the effort, it happens after. If you skip the recovery phase because you think you need to keep grinding to be, quote, consistent, you don't get growth. You just get burnout. The physical rewiring of your neurons literally only happens during sleep and in those quiet, low-stimulation moments when you're doing absolutely nothing.
Section 2. The three-phase sprint blueprint: strategic compression.
So how do we escape this endless, exhausting grind? By systematically raising your cognitive capacity using a process I call strategic compression. This biological framework breaks down beautifully into 3 distinct steps you can start using today. Step 1 is compression, which is your sprint. Step 2 is separation, the pause. And step 3 is integration, which is where you actually make the jump in your skills.
Phase 1. Compression. The sprint.
Let's break down exactly how you execute Phase 1. First up, you have to pick one, and literally only one specific skill or topic. You're going to sustain this compression phase for a very specific window, 7 to 14 days. During these days, you go aggressively deep into the topic until a process genuinely feels difficult and frustrating. You have to fully embrace that struggle, guys, because that exact feeling of discomfort, that is real-time proof that your neurons are being challenged and temporary neural instability is kicking in.
On a daily basis during this sprint, you need to lock into 90 to 120-minute sessions of pure, unadulterated focus. You've got to use active recall, meaning forcing your brain to actually retrieve the information instead of just passively reading or reviewing notes. Push hard and stop just before you hit total mental exhaustion. Remember, you're building the pressure here.
Phase 2. Separation. The pause.
Once those sprint days are over, you enter what is arguably the hardest phase for modern learners: the pause. This is the non-negotiable period where your brain does the actual physical work of rewiring itself. To successfully pull this off, you must brutally cut off all new inputs, no informational podcasts, no passive learning, and zero social media scrolling. None. You have to allow yourself to be genuinely bored. And above all, sleep is completely non-negotiable, because sleep is when cognitive consolidation physically locks your new skills into place.
Phase 3, integration, the jump.
And this brings us to the payoff. Finally, you reach phase 3, integration. This is that incredible, almost magical moment when your progress suddenly becomes visible. Out of nowhere, clarity improves, recall is so much easier, and the skill just feels automatic. People look at this and call it an overnight success or a sudden breakthrough, right? But it's not magic. It's just your delayed neural wiring finally locking into place after the pause. Once you hit this jump, you simply drop back down to a light maintenance routine to protect your new floor until you're ready for the next sprint.
Section 3. The Smart Habit Application in the Real World.
Theory is great and all, but let's talk about how to apply this to your life right now with a highly practical smart habit. Consider Charles Darwin for a moment. He didn't sit at a desk analyzing data nonstop for 12 hours a day. He intuitively used this exact method. He fiercely protected his cognitive energy by working in highly focused, intense blocks, and then he'd leave his study and take long, entirely disconnected walks. He wasn't wasting time, he was intentionally letting his ideas integrate. He was triggering the jump.
So here is your actionable habit for today. First, identify one skill that you've just been casually practicing. Maybe it's a language or a new software tool for work. Commit right now to a 7-day sprint. Every day for the next week, execute 90 minutes of high-intensity active recall. No notes, no safety nets, force your brain to work. Then, and this is the absolute kicker, later in the day, intentionally seek out 15 minutes of phone-free, pure boredom. Stare at a wall, go for a walk without headphones, give your brain the space to upgrade.
The ultimate takeaway of this explainer should be a massive relief. You literally do not need more endless discipline. You just need better timing. We have to stop working against our own biology. Leverage the power of intense pressure followed by a total pause to achieve integration rather than relying on an exhausting, endless daily grind that just leads straight to a plateau.
If you found this breakdown valuable and you want to keep building a brain that truly thrives on depth and intensity, make sure to hit subscribe for more weekly explainers decoding the neuroscience of mastery. Also, be sure to join our Telegram channel. The link is right down in the description. There, you can download our exact sprint and pause schedule, along with a deep focus cheat sheet to help you map out your first 7 days.
Keep sprinting and, importantly, keep pausing. But before you close this explainer, I want you to seriously ask yourself, what casual, comfortable daily habit will you abandon today to finally give your brain the space and intensity it needs to leap forward? Thanks for learning with me, and I'll see you in the next explainer.